Sounds wonderful, but I know that there are many challenges that students face. Let's not even talk about where you're working now, but remember all the ESL schools and think about colleges and universities too. For international students, what are the main challenges that you think they face?
Well, it's a simple question, but a complex answer because it depends pretty much their cultural components. So for some cultures, it's easier to adapt to a schedule than other countries. They face difficulties adapting to ours, being on time, being responsible, study hard, and then, submit the paperwork and extra work or, yeah. For some countries, this is a transition, becoming more formal. And for some cultures, it's the food. Transitioning into the food, it's an issue. Some cultures have their own culinary features, and traditions. And then when they come to Canada, they find that they're eating differently. So that's another transition. And then for other countries, and cultures where, English is written in a different way from their, handwriting, basically with ideographs or from left to right and differently. So then that's another transition. And then the cultural component as well. For some cultures, people are very warm and they're very, physical warm. They touch, they kiss, and then in Canada, that is only within family members, close friends or, people that know each other from before to become a little bit more warm. So they suffer from that as well. It's a transition for them to adapt to that.
This all sounds great at the boarding school, but for parents who do not have the means to send students to a boarding school like this, are there any cheaper options for international students to come and study at an elementary school or high school in Canada?
Yes, they can basically start with a short-term program, which is usually during the summertime in Canada or winter time. They can send them for 4 weeks, 2 weeks to, just to learn the language, plus activities. That is what usually call the winter or summer camps. In our case, we offer a 2 or 3 week program that is a leadership development academy. During the summertime, they stay in our boarding program and then they go back to their countries and then they have to develop their own project as a leader with a social impact. And they have a coaching during 6 months. So that's very interesting. I would suggest to parents that don't have the means to send the kids for 1 full year to that. And then the other option is, if they have the means, but they don't have the means to pay for a boarding school, they can choose 1 semester in a public high school or 1 year in a public high school. But the accommodation in that case would be with a homestay family.
And what is a homestay family?
Homestay families are families that have a spare room or rooms, and they basically rent that room to international students and they provide the full services to those students. And so those students are able to come to Canada and they, instead of staying in a boarding place, they stay with a family. And then for that, some, high school programs, language programs, or even universities outsource that service with the homestay companies. There are several, homestay companies that basically screen the families. They categorize them. They go over their criminal checks and then, family composition, etc. And then they do the matching between the student and the family. But again, it's not going to be the same as staying with your own family. So if the parents are expecting the same type of food, the same type of warmth and family atmosphere, they are not prepared to send their kids overseas. So that's one of the big conversations that I have with parents before coming here.